Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to 1979, more specifically February, the start of the NASCAR season, which of course is with the Daytona 500. What you're about to hear is segments from what is probably the most competitive Daytona 500 of all time, as near the end of the race, Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison were neck and neck for the lead. How it ended up would definitely make NASCAR history and ironically give someone else in third place the actual victory in the race. Let's go back to those magic moments as called by CBS's Ken Squire and David Hobbs.
Out of turn two, Donnie Allison in first. Where will Cale make his move? He comes to the inside. Donnie Allison throws the block. Cale hits him. He slides. Donnie Allison slides. They hit again. They drive in the turn. They're hitting the wall. They're head on the wall. They slide down to the inside. Let's watch those third place cars. They're out of it. Who is going to win it? Coming down, Richard Petty is now pulling out in front. Darrell Waltrip is in second. A.J. Boyd is in third. Here they come. Waltrip trying to slingshot. Petty is out in front at the line. Waltrip to the inside. Petty wins it. Down on pit road. It has gone crazy. The Petty crew is out there jumping up and down. Petty has won it. Richard Petty has won his 6th Daytona 500, and the crowd here are going absolutely mad. And there's a fight between Cale Yarborough and Donnie Allison. The tempers overflowing. They're angry. They know they have lost. And what a bitter defeat.
Richard Petty wound up winning 7 Daytona 500s in his career, and that'll be a record that'll be hard to break for a long time to come. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to 1974 and the start of the World Football League. It was created by Gary L. Davidson, who also served as the league's first commissioner. His idea was to create a concept of American football that could truly be played worldwide on a professional basis. His league fell short, only lasting a season and a half, but along the way it provided some interesting concepts, including no kicked extra points, providing what was called an action point after every touchdown. And he had teams sprinkled out all over the country, including the Portland Storm, the Florida Blazers, and the Houston Texans, who in 1975 would become the Shreveport Steamer. Let's take a listen to a sample of a WFL broadcast from 1974 that was carried by the TVS syndicated sports network owned by Jerry Reinsdorf.
Live and in color, TBS presents the new game in town, the World Football League. I'm Earl Herman, and welcome to the new game in town, the World Football League. You know, the World Football League is bringing you new dimensions and excitement in pro football. And now let's meet the man who's made it all possible, the founder and commissioner of the WFL, Mr. Gary Davidson. And, Commissioner, I know you must be tremendously pleased at the great enthusiasm which has been accorded the WFL games to date last night and tonight by the hundreds of thousands of fans across the country.
Well, Merle, being pleased is an understatement. I'm overwhelmed. I'm awed. I'm having a hard time realizing how successful our openings have been.
Let's pause for station identification. This is the TBS Television Network.
In the league's only championship game in 1974, the Birmingham Americans defeated the Florida Blazers 22-21. After the 1974 inaugural season, Commissioner Davidson gave up his control of the league to Christopher Hemmerter, a noted worldwide real estate entrepreneur, and in 1975 he renamed it the New League. In fact, the Memphis franchise had signed away 3 Miami Dolphin players, Jim Kick, Larry Zonka, and Paul Warfield, but it still wasn't enough to save the league, as most of the teams would go under 12 weeks into the 75 season. However, we did find one piece of footage from the WFL you might be interested in. Listen and tell me, who's the play-by-play man for the Jacksonville Sharks television network?
Well, it all comes down to this. Chuck Ramsey out of a Joe Womack hold from the 16-yard line, a 26-yard attempt. Distance will not be a factor. The kick is down. It's up, and it's good. Final again, Chicago 25, Jacksonville 22. On behalf of our entire broadcast crew and Dick Stratton, this is Mike Patrick from Chicago. So long, everyone.
Yes, believe it or not, that is Mike Patrick, who for years would be the voice of Sunday Night Football on ESPN. And that does it for this edition of the Closet Sports Soundbite. I'm William Taylor. Odell Lawson was born December 20th, 1948 in Ponca City, Oklahoma. He attended Langston College, also in Oklahoma, and rushed for over 2,000 yards in his career there. In 1970, he was drafted in the 7th round by the New England Patriots of the NFL and played in all 14 games that season, primarily as a fullback, rushing 56 times for 99 yards, had a kickoff return average of 22 yards, and was recognized as the club's top rookie that year. He remained with New England through 1972 before signing with the 49ers in 73. The Saints claimed him off of waivers shortly before the start of the 1973 season, and his immediate impact on special teams was so pronounced that he was named their captain. He stayed with the Saints through the end of the 1974 season, primarily as a backup fullback before retiring from the game. One of Odell's most vivid memories of playing in New Orleans had to do with an October 20th, 1974 game at Atlanta, a contest that the Saints won 13-3 to end an 18-game road losing streak. Here's Odell.
I believe in 74 when we went to Atlanta. We had a big fight over to Atlanta, and they had to stop the game, and we fought all the way to the end zone, and me and Howard Stevens ended up on the ground and kicked out the game. That was a real fun memory.
Odell Lawson and his family would make New Orleans their home for the next 30-plus years as part of a successful security guard and protection service that was involved with many organizations, including the Orleans Parish Public School System and the New Orleans Jazz and Heritage Festival. Odell passed away on February 14, 2008 at the age of 60. While his Saints career may have been brief, his love for this area and positive effect on others will be remembered for years to come. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Tony Elliott had to overcome a terrible childhood where he witnessed his mother and Uncle Wilbert being murdered by his father. He wound up associating with gang activity and eventually in a boys' home, which was so awful that the director of the home was providing illegal drugs to the residents. His young life was partially lifted upwards thanks to an outstanding athletic career at Harding High School in Connecticut. He later attended the University of Wisconsin at Madison, where he would flunk out, then transferred to Pratt Junior College in Kansas, where his strong playing ability got him a scholarship to North Texas State. He continued to struggle with his schooling, only passing 3 courses in 4 semesters at North Texas while hanging on to a substance abuse problem. Despite his struggles, Saints head coach Bum Phillips drafted Tony in the 5th round of the 1982 draft and made the squad only to be sent in mid-season to a drug rehabilitation center in Dallas and returned to the club some 4 weeks later. In 1983, he was almost killed by a drug dealer who he tried to rob in a desperation attempt to feed his addiction. After another stay in drug rehab, he would be free of drugs in 1985, where he played every game at nose guard. Here's Tony after an 86 win over Tampa Bay on proving his worth to the team.
Sack felt good, you know. I was beginning to feel like a lost child, you know, and I wanted to show the coaching staff that I am a great pass rusher and that, I do deserve to be on a nickel and play some dime.
And here's Tony on the importance of fan support.
You know, I told the fans that don't sell their stock, and the fans haven't sold their stock. Seems to me we even got people want to buy stock. And the Saints has come through with the win next week. Maybe we can set new records in the stock exchange.
His new drug-free life led him to introducing then General Manager Jim Finks to Bridge House, an establishment dedicated to helping citizens overcome drug and alcohol addictions, which started a long-standing partnership the Saints and Bridge House would hold for many years. During the 1987 strike, when he elected not to support the striking players, he accused NFLPA team representative Hobie Brenner of being, quote, a con man, close quote, over the players' actual demands of the league. Eventually, all would be forgiven as the Saints would establish their first ever winning season and playoff appearance. Tony would be released after the 1988 season, stayed in New Orleans for several years running a computer store, then moved back to Connecticut, where he was shot in 2000 by who the Associated Press termed as a drug dealer, resulting in paralysis. He passed away on New Year's Eve 2007 at the age of 48. In the end, his life is something we can all learn from. Overcoming adversity and tragedy can be difficult, especially for a young person, but with determination and the proper guidance from those in the right environment, positive results can be achieved. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Born September 12, 1939, in Van Wert, Ohio, Larry Smith would go on to become a recognized name in college football coaching. He graduated from Bowling Green University in 1962 with a bachelor's degree in mathematics, then a master's degree in education in 1967. That same year, he left high school coaching to work for Bo Schembechler at Miami University and moved with the famous coach to Michigan and worked there from 1969 to 72. He left Michigan to join fellow assistant Jim Young at the University of Arizona, where Smith became defensive coordinator from 73 to 75. He accepted the Tulane head coaching job in 1976, where the Green Wave went from 2 wins to 3 in 1977 and 4 in 1978. By 1979, Tulane had a breakout year with a 9-2 regular season record, defeating 2 nationally ranked teams in Stanford and SMU. Plus, they defeated rival LSU 24-13 in the Superdome before 73,496 fans, a Tulane record for a Superdome game. This season saw Tulane return to a bowl game for the first time in 6 years, in this case the Liberty Bowl in Memphis, where they would lose to Penn State 9-6. Here's Larry Smith's halftime comments, being down 6-0, being interviewed by Vern Lundquist.
Larry, I know you might have been a little frustrated with your inability to take the advantage of the turnovers early.
Well, that was a big factor, I think, in the first quarter, but the key thing of the whole thing is we got to do a better job protecting our quarterback and come up a little bit more on first down where we have been, because I think we can do that. I think we can move the football. And then defensively is just not giving a big play in there and keep hustling and hitting and going after it.
Well, obviously, you're very, very much still in this football game.
Oh, no question. I think this game is far from being over.
It's dried off. Will that help your passing game?
I think so. Wind looks like it may have died down a little bit. So let's just go out and we've been under bad conditions before. So key thing now is just, I don't care if it snows, just go up and go after it.
Smith's Tulane clubs featured 10 All-American players, including 2-time winners Rock Honus, Eddie Murray, Eric Loxo, and Rodney Holman. In 1980, he left Tulane for Arizona, then moved on to be the head coach of USC. He stayed out of coaching in 1993, only to return in 1994 to be the head coach of Missouri. In 1997, when Missouri played in the Holiday Bowl, he became only the 4th head coach in NCAA history to take 4 different teams to bowl games. He was diagnosed with a form of leukemia in 1999, retired after the 2000 season, worked in television in Arizona for a few more years before he passed away on January 28, 2008, at the age of 68. His no-nonsense approach to college football and life made him a respected member of the fraternity and will be missed by many. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to September 21st, 1970, for ABC's first ever broadcast of Monday Night Football. What you're about to hear is a brief sample of the opening theme song, followed by Keith Jackson's introduction of the game, a brief interview with Howard Cosell talking to Jet star quarterback Joe Namath, and then a couple of highlights, a second-half opening kickoff return by Homer Jones, and a play that would decide the game near the end. Let's go ahead and listen to that right now.
From Municipal Stadium in Cleveland, Ohio, the New York Jets and the Cleveland Browns.
Of course, Weeb Eubank has characterized this Jets team, Joe, as superior even to the Super Bowl champions of January 12, 1969. Do you agree?
No, I don't, but I hope Weeb's right. At this stage, it's too difficult to tell. I'm not trying to argue with Weeb. Like I said, I hope he's right, but the 68 team proved itself, and the 70 team has to prove itself before I believe.
Final question, Joe, from the films you've studied, your evaluation of the Browns as an opponent.
Well, naturally, they've been one of the most consistent teams in the NFL over the years. They're a very difficult football team to run on at times, but we kind of think we can beat them tonight. They run a lot of zone coverage. They don't like to give up the big play, the long touchdown pass, and we'll see what we can do about it, you know.
But the Jets are behind on the scoreboard by a score of 14-7. And the ball game for the second half is underway as Jim Turner kicks off. It goes to Homer Jones. Homer takes it at the 6-yard line for the Cleveland Browns, and he breaks it in the open. Now it's a foot race. He'll go all the way. And there are no penalty flags on the field. Homer Jones goes 94 yards to start the second half. First down, New York at their own 18-yard line. 47 seconds to play. The Browns lead 24-21. Before more than 85,000 people. Snyder almost gets famous. The pass is intercepted. It is intercepted by number 52, Billy Andrews. down, and no penalty flags on the field. Here's a depressed Joe Namath.
The Cleveland Browns' Billy Andrews would later live in Clinton, Louisiana, and work as a dairy farmer. It was an exciting time for a series that would run some 36 years on ABC before moving to ESPN. This is William Taylor, and this has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. A special treat today on the Closet Sports Soundbite. Ladies and gentlemen, we look back at the great Abbott and Costello, who's on first routine.
Look, you got a first baseman? Yes. Then tell me the fella's name playing first. Who? The guy playing first. That's his name. Wait, what's the guy's name on first base?
Why, there's the guy's name on second base.
Who's playing second?
Who's playing first?
I don't know.
He's on third base.
Look, when you pay off the first baseman every month, who do you pay the money to?
Every dollar.
Look, you got to pay the money to somebody on first base, for you. Does he give you a receipt?
Sure.
How does he sign a receipt?
Who?
The guy that you give the money to. Who? The guy you give the money to.
That's how he signs.
That's how who signs it?
Yes.
Well, go ahead, tell me.
That's it.
That's who?
Yeah.
When you give the guy the money, don't he have to sign a receipt?
He does.
Well, how does he sign his name?
Who?
The guy you give the... You dope! What's the guy's name that signs the receipt on first base?
Wait a minute. What signs his own receipt?
Who signs his own receipt?
No, who signs his?
All I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name on first base?
Well, he's on second base.
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. I know that. You got an outfield?
Sure.
The left fielder's name.
Why?
I just thought I'd ask you.
Well, I just thought I'd tell you.
The left fielder's name.
Why?
Because!
Center field.
Oh.
You know these players as well.
All I'm trying to find out is what's the guy's name in left field?
Now, what is on second?
I'm not asking you who's on second.
Who's on first?
I don't know. Third base. You got a pitcher on the team?
Wouldn't this be a fine team without a pitcher?
The pitcher's name.
Tomorrow?
You know what? Tell me the date.
I'm telling you, Lou.
Then go ahead.
Tomorrow.
What time?
What time what?
What time tomorrow you going to tell me who's pitching?
Now, listen. Who is...
I'll break the old rhyme you say who's on first. You got a catcher?
Sure.
The catcher's name.
Today.
Today. You don't want to tell me today, tomorrow, do you?
I'm telling you.
So the catcher's name.
Today.
Today, and tomorrow's pitching.
Now you've got it.
Now I got it. All right. You know, now I'm a good catcher. Now I get behind a plate, and tomorrow's pitching on my team, and a heavy hitter gets up.
Yes.
Now when he gets up, me being a good catcher, I'm going to throw the guy out at first base. So the guy fronts the ball. I pick up the ball. I'm going to throw the guy out at first base, so I pick up the ball and throw it to who?
Now, that's the first thing you've said right.
I don't even know what I'm talking about. So I throw the ball to first base. Whoever it is drops the ball, and the guy runs to second. Now, who picks up the ball and throws it to what? What throws it to I don't know. I don't know, throws it back to tomorrow. Triple play.
Could be.
And now that guy gets up and hits a long fly ball to be called.
Yes.
Why? I don't know. He's on third, and I don't give a darn.
What do you say?
I said I don't give a darn.
Oh, that's a shortstop.
It would become a staple in comedy for decades to come and still brings a pretty good chuckle today. But in all seriousness, I'm William Taylor, and this has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we look back at the golden days of Mid-South Wrestling, one of the greatest televised sports entertainment programs in the Oklahoma, Arkansas, Louisiana, and Mississippi area. For many years, the show was hosted by the legendary Boyd Pierce. Here's a small sample of how he used to introduce some of those wrestling matches.
Hi, everybody. I'm Boyd Pierce, and I'm your host. Another tremendous card this week, headlined by Mid-South Tag Team Championship match as Alpha and Sika, the Samoan Warriors, defend those coveted belts against the top challenge of Bob Root and Ted DiBiase. Also, Bob Barton Jr. will wrestle. Playboy Gary Hart is here with his great kabuki. Kerry Von Erich, Jim Garvin. You'll see all the action right here on this outstanding television station.
One of the true fan favorites in Mid-South Wrestling history was the Junkyard Dog, whose real name was Sylvester Ritter. What you're about to hear first is the voice of General S.Akbar going over to the table to protest the Mid-South about why he doesn't get enough talent for his wrestler, the Iron Sheik, to wrestle against. Following that, you'll hear the voice of Boyd Pierce and Cowboy B.Watts.
Boyd Pierce, I smell a lot of American dogs, and I smell one with fleas on it, and I'm talking about the Junkyard Dog. So if you're listening, Junkyard Dog, I'm issuing you a challenge, and my man won't leave that squared circle until justice is done.
That's out of my jurisdiction, not my department. You'll have to see the matchmaker.
Well, this is one strike that didn't last very long, and matchmaker Grizzly Smith didn't need to meet with a grievance committee or have anybody from the National Labor Relations Board to settle it. He went right to the man that was challenged.
And now let's go to the ring for highlights of that exciting bout.
Boy, that one doesn't need any introduction. Did you ever see a Junkyard Dog get back down from a fight? not this one. Wow, the dog slapped him on the bread basket there. Whoa!
Somebody else done, Bill.
That'll get you a 15-yard penalty and thrown out of the game in the National Football League, but in pro wrestling, it just leveled the Iron Sheik. And there goes S.Akbar coming in, and he caught that pointed Joe Booty, his man, right in the face. The dog is just polishing him off, and the Sheik is talking. The dog just gave him a forearm shiver. There it is.
S.Akbar asked for it, but I don't think that's what he wanted. The victory to the Junkyard Dog.
Unfortunately, the Junkyard Dog would pass away in 1998 in a car accident near Meridian, Mississippi. He was one of the fan favorites and a legend in Mid-South wrestling history, not to mention WWF and WCW history that'll never be forgotten. And until next time, I'm William Taylor, and this is today's Closet Sports Soundbite. He was born September 26, 1966 in Passaic, New Jersey, though most NFL fans, and especially Saints fans, would simply know him by the nickname Ironhead. The reports on how he got that nickname vary. Craig Heyward, it is told, was very stubborn as a young man, and the Ironhead nickname came from his grandmother. He attended the University of Pittsburgh and was drafted in the first round, the 24th pick overall, by the New Orleans Saints. He would play in New Orleans from 1988 to 1992, and for one season would lead the team in rushing. During his 5 years in New Orleans, him and head coach Jim Mora often butted heads over his weight issue. One day, Craig Heyward was late for a training camp practice in 1990. Here's Coach Mora at the press conference that followed that incident.
Craig Heyward wants, if he wants to be a good football player and is going to be the kind of football player that we would like him to be, then he's going to get his in shape.
After leaving the Saints and then getting cut by the Chicago Bears after 1993, Craig Heyward did an interview in 1994 as he joined the Atlanta Falcons. Let's hear him talk about his life and times.
Constant fights with the wife, staying out till 4 or 5 in the morning. One time I went out and drank, and we were coming from this club called The Click, and one of the players said, let's go ahead. And I'm sitting at the table just steady drinking. We're walking, and we get to these steps. It's like 2 flight of steps. All of a sudden, they're like, where's Head? I'm like rolling down a step, boom, 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 boom. And then the next day, I don't remember none of it. To really stand up and say, hey, Craig, I'm an alcoholic, because the first 2 months in AA, I would get up, hi, I'm Tom, and overeater, I'd say somebody else's name. This is a whole different person now. I work out. When we got to lift, I'm here on time. I even do extra work. I do acknowledge that, there is a higher power, and I address that. I say thanks, I say please, I say help. I tell you this for sure, that I'm okay for today.
Following his Atlanta career, Heyward would join the St. Louis Rams, and then in 1998 would join the Indianapolis Colts, where he was reunited with head coach Jim Mora. Heyward had complained of blurry vision late in training camp that year. It was later diagnosed that Craig Heyward had a malignant bone cancer at the base of his skull that was pressing on his optic nerve. The tumor was reportedly described as a chordoma. He would undergo an extensive operation as well as radiation treatment and was later pronounced cancer-free. However, the tumor would come back in 2005, and he would pass away on Saturday, May 27th, 2006, at the age of 39. While Ironhead Heyward would score 30 touchdowns in his NFL career and some 4,300 yards rushed, he had a lot of likable qualities and will be missed as a person who tried to overcome many ills in his life. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to January of 1973 in the L.A. Coliseum. The Miami Dolphins were trying to cap off their undefeated season by going 17-0 if they could win Super Bowl VII against the Washington Redskins, who were quarterbacked by former New Orleans Saint Billy Kilmer. Miami took a 14-0 lead and stayed very steady with that lead for most of the game. With under 2.5 minutes to go, Miami went out on the field to try a 42-yard field goal. What would happen next would set Super Bowl and NFL Follies history. Here's the call by announcer Kurt Gowdy of NBC.
All right, here's Yepremian on for a 42-yard field goal attempt. Earl Morrill holding, and this kick is blocked. Yepremian has it. Throws a pass up with the ball. It's Mike Bass. He's running away for a touchdown. Mike Bass scores. What a kooky play that was. Garo Yepremian lost his head and tried to throw a pass. It went in the hands of Mike Bass. He scores. If they kick the point now, the Redskins, with 2:07 to go, are behind by 7.
Mike Bass's return of Garo Yepremian's blocked field goal would make the game 14-7. The Redskins would get the ball back very late in the game, but the clock simply ran out on them. But it did cap off Don Shula's perfect season of 17-0 and would set NFL history, even though the New England Patriots of the 2007 season came very close to doing so. Ironically, the 1934 and 42 Chicago Bears also finished their regular seasons with perfect records and lost in their championship games. And that's today's Closet Sports Soundbite. I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we look at what's likely the greatest catch in New Orleans Saints history. December the 3rd, 1979, a Monday night contest in the Louisiana Superdome against the Oakland Raiders. The Saints needed to win this contest in order to stay neck and neck with the Los Angeles Rams for the Western Division lead. During the second quarter, Tony Galbreath would make an impossible catch in the end zone as part of a 28-point run the New Orleans Saints went on. Here's the call from Frank Gifford, Howard Cosell, and Don Meredith.
Manning wide open over the middle. Oh, we told you Galbreath was a receiver. Tony Galbreath. A truly great catch. On the graphic we showed you earlier, I said there was a point I wanted to make. Galbreath had 214 receptions. That's his 215th. Chuck Muncie had 108. This is why we talked about Galbraith's ability as a receiver. It is super.
That is unbelievable. He even turned in the air and raced back with the right hand and got it. Not bad coverage that time by Monty Johnson.
While the New Orleans Saints would lose this contest 42-35, thanks to an incredible second-half run by the Oakland Raiders, Tony Galbraith's name in Saints history would forever be cemented because of his dynamite feet work and hand work, for that matter. Tony Galbraith would later be inducted in the Saints Hall of Fame in 1991. The 1979 Saints offense will be remembered as one of the greatest offenses in club history. When you think of names like Henry Childs, Archie Manning, Wes Chandler, Chuck Muncie, Ike Harris, etc., it'll only be surpassed more than likely by the 2000 and 2006 offenses that each had postseason victories. But it's always good to look back and reflect on one of those great moments in club history during its first 20 years when the club nary had one winning season. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to a play in Super Bowl history that, shall we say, cast an unnecessary shadow on a great career for tight end Jackie Smith. This native of Louisiana finally got his opportunity to play in a final NFL championship game when he was asked to be traded from the St. Louis Cardinals, where he spent most of his career, and go with the Dallas Cowboys, where he had the opportunity to play in Super Bowl 13. The following you're about to hear is the play call of Kurt Gowdy and John Brody from NBC, and what will be forever known as one of the greatest blunders in Super Bowl history. Here's the call.
3rd down and 2, and they're on the Pittsburgh 10, and they're behind, and they're going to throw.
Oh, he's got him wide
open. Drop. Veteran Jackie Smith. He's a great human interest story. 15 years with the Cardinals. First time he ever got a chance to go to the Super Bowl, signed by the Cowboys, and he let a sure touchdown pass get away.
He has helped them all year. I can remember playing a Pro Bowl in 1965 with Jackie Smith. Not many players play that long at that position. Well, what happens here? Roger Staubach's got all the time in the world. Jackie Smith is wide open, nobody within 10 yards of him, and almost too far open. Too much time to think.
Jackie Smith's drop in the end zone led to Dallas kicking a field goal, and the final score would give Pittsburgh the victory, 35-31. However, this one moment should not dampen the greatness that Jackie Smith had as an NFL tight end. In fact, he would later be inducted into the Pro Football Hall of Fame, but some wonder, did this incident in Super Bowl 13 delay that inevitable induction? I guess that's up to debate for years to come. Casting a positive outlook on a great career, this is William Taylor, and this has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we revisit a true New Orleans radio broadcasting legend in Jay Richards. Mr. Richards wore many hats in local radio, one of which was as producer and host of a short series called Sports Diary. Today we revisit one of his episodes entitled The Strange Auto Race Spectator, based on actual events in 1906. Here's Jay.
On the island of Sicily in 1906, Count Vincenzo Flario staged an automobile race. But part of the route went through the Madonic Mountains, which at the time was a stronghold of a bandit chieftain. No problem, the local Don guaranteed. He was a fan of the infant motor cars, and the race was called the Targo Flario. Now, this bandit chief, let's call him Don Tomaso, and his 1,000 henchmen were nothing but highwaymen, victimizing the locals and travelers alike. Well, as the race started, lap after lap, the drivers would report seeing Don Tomaso sitting on his hilltop, waving his kerchief and cheering them on. But after a few laps, they noticed the Don was gone. It seemed the race had given the authorities the chance to capture the gang leader, since he'd stayed too long at his vantage point to view the race. The Federals took him into custody. Well, Don Tomaso drew his own crowd, which cheered him on a few days later at his execution. It actually happened. I'm Jay Richards for Sports Diary.
It's always interesting when you can combine sports with a little bit of humor, and Jay Richards was always good at keeping his radio audience's attention. I'm William Taylor, and this has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we look back at the career of Frank Warren. Frank Warren was from Alabama and attended Auburn University. He was drafted by the New Orleans Saints in 1981 and would stick with the club as a player through the end of the 1994 season. There were some bumps in the road along the way, as in 1990, Frank would be suspended for one season for violating the NFL drug policy. However, in testament to his strength and fortitude, he was one of very few NFL players to have a successful career after returning from a suspension, and Frank was definitely a proud member of the New Orleans Saints, as he would score 4 defensive touchdowns in his career, 2 off of blocked field goals, 1 off a blocked punt, and another off of a fumble against Warren Moon in 1993 in the Houston Oilers. Frank Warren was also full of laughter. Here's part of his acceptance speech when he was inducted in the Saints Hall of Fame in 2002 about what it was like in training camp going through the first day conditioning test.
We had this conditioning test, and we had to run 1.5 miles, and I would come in last every year. And one time, I thought to myself, I didn't tell Coach this, there were, comments made about me coming in last in the 1.5 miles. And I said, well, whenever I get to be third down, 1.5 miles, just take me out of the game.
Through it all, he was a man who could always put a smile on anybody's face, and appropriately for his size, his nickname was Big. Unfortunately, Frank Warren would pass away in December 2002, just a month after being inducted into the Saints Hall of Fame. His passing was very untimely, but forever his character will be timeless in New Orleans Saints history. For the Closet Sports Soundbite, I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we remember that magical day, September the 17th, 1967, the day New Orleans Saints began regular season play in the National Football League. It was at Tulane Stadium, and for all you trivia buffs out there, the kickoff temperature was 86 degrees. Some 83,000 people filled Tulane Stadium for an exciting contest against the Los Angeles Rams. How that game would open, of course, would forever set NFL history. What you're about to hear is the actual public address announcements being made by announcer Jack Doland, first introducing the Saints team as a whole to the stadium audience, and then followed by some selected individual player introductions. Afterwards, you'll hear the actual television broadcast via CBS of Don Criquy's call of that immeasurable play as John Gilliam would run back the opening kickoff 94 yards for a touchdown. Let's listen.
Yepremian. At flanker back from San Jose State, number 27, Walter Flea Roberts. And at fullback from Louisiana State University,
New Orleans in white and gold. Gassett's put us into the bottom. The game is underway, and the New Orleans Saints are now active in regular season play in the National Football League as John Gilliam can straight down the field. Here's that tremendous Stevens, John Gilliam turns away from the entire Ramsey killer.
The only other time in NFL or AFL history that a team's opening regular season kickoff was returned for a touchdown was the Miami Dolphins in 1966, as it was done so by return man Tom Auer. John Gilliam, a rookie out of South Carolina State University, would forever be remembered in New Orleans Saints history. And that does it for this edition of the Closet Sports Soundbite. I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we go back to 1983, and in honor of the 25th anniversary of the United States Football League, We look back at what might have been the greatest game in league history, a semifinal contest as the Chicago Blitz played at the Philadelphia Stars. The Blitz were coached by George Allen, and Jim Mora, of course, ran the Stars. It was 38-17 early in the fourth quarter. The Blitz had the lead before the Stars would make an incredible comeback and win the game in overtime. Let's hear some highlights, and then we'll go to an on-field interview right after the game's conclusion with Tim Brandt and Jim Mora.
You've seen it, puts it up, down the sidelines. It is one! What a great catch that was by Scott Fitzke. Second down and 10. Passes away over the middle for Fitzke. Touchdown.
Hail Mary, full of grace.
Passes away down the sidelines for Tremaine Johnson. Intercepted. Jonathan Sutton. And Chuck Jusina rolls it out, throws it. Touchdown, Rodenberger.
Jeff Rodenberger, number 34.
Well, it's first down with 2 minutes to play. Philadelphia at the 40. Jusina back. Got to get it off. Pressure's on. Ducks at one man. Gives him some time. Now he takes off. Gets his first down. Steps out of bounds. Fitzke and Folsom over there together. Jusina's pass goes over the middle to Donovan. Donovan. Touchdown! Can you believe it? With 50 seconds to play in the ball game. Trout is in the game. I told you he'd go for the side.
Trout is in the ball game. They're going for the top.
The hold is good. The kick is good. It's all even. It's Bryant over the top. Touchdown. Philadelphia wins it. Here's Tim Brandt, if we can find him in that melee.
Tim, that's one of the gutsiest performances we've seen. You've got to be proud of it. I'm so proud I can hardly talk. It's the greatest team ever. What did you tell them at halftime? Not much. I just said we come back all year. We're going to do it again this year. That's exactly what I told them. Congratulations. We'll see you in Denver.
And so you have seen, ladies and gentlemen, one of the more remarkable comebacks that you will ever see in a football game, whether it's Little League, college, or professional. Chicago led by a 38-17 margin. Philadelphia came back, shut down Chicago in the final quarter, tied at 38 to force the overtime. Won the flip of the coin. They got a return the first of the ball game. And then finally it was their great running back, Kelvin Bryant, going over the top, tumbling into the end zone. And Philadelphia beat Chicago 44-38.
The game was called by Keith Jackson, Lynn Swan, and then Breakers coach Dick Corey. It was an interesting league, and even though it only ran 3 years, it definitely provided its share of excitement and fun for the fans. Until next time, I'm William Taylor, and this has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we continue our look back at the 25th anniversary of the United States Football League by looking at the very first press conference. Here are some of the words from Commissioner Chet Simmons.
I'm happy to have you all here to one of what we think is one of the most exciting and dramatic events that's happened in the field of sports in a long time. It's the birth of a new league, the United States Football League.
The first year of the USFL would consist of 12 teams. The championship game was played on July 17, 1983 in Denver, Colorado, as the Michigan Panthers took on the Philadelphia Stars. It was a very competitive game throughout, but with 3 minutes left, Bobby Hebert would clinch the win. Here's the opening of the game and the call.
And tonight, ABC Sports presents the first championship game of the United States Football League. The Michigan Panthers and the Philadelphia Stars. Second down and 10 from the 48 of Philadelphia. Lush comes up, shows blitz, and he's coming. Beats on, Hebert gets it away, Carter's there, first down, he's loose, he's got some help, he's going for the corner, touchdown! Whoa! Carter now, 9 catches for 177 yards.
Let's take a look at Mike Lush first. He's coming up on the blitz. They seem to be able to pick up on the signals of Bobby Hebert. He comes in on the blitz, he's stopped, but there's other pressure on Bobby Hebert. Let's take a look at AC, Anthony Carter out of Michigan. He drives Antonio Gibson back on the out route, makes a catch, then just steps away. 25, Warner slips. Now he picks up a block from Derek Holloway, and he is into the end zone for the score.
Philadelphia would go on to lose the contest to Michigan 24-22. The next season, Philadelphia would get its redemption as it beat the Arizona Wranglers in the '84 championship contest. And that's it for now. I'm William Taylor. This has been the Closet Sports Soundbite. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we look at an issue that NFL fans have to deal with from time to time, the threat of their local team moving to another city. And while this situation has been brought up from time to time in the New Orleans area involving the Saints and Tom Benson, it's interesting to go back and listen to a 1984 commentary by then CBS NFL Today anchor Brent Musburger on the veiled threat of the Philadelphia Eagles moving to Phoenix, Arizona. Let's listen to that timely commentary.
More than anything else, what's at stake here is a question of ethics and principle and a fundamental sense of loyalty. And I, for one, totally embrace the view that professional football is more than just a business enterprise. An NFL franchise should be obliged to adhere to a different set of standards than a steel company or a textile firm that moves its operation to greener pastures. For the owner of an NFL team has a responsibility to more than the pursuit of profits, because whether he likes it or not, when a businessman or a woman buys a football team, he enters into a social contract with other members of the community. Such a franchise succeeds and thrives solely on the support of the fans. And in most NFL cities, the fans have kept up their end of the bargain. But Al Davis betrayed that trust in Oakland, Robert Irsay betrayed it in Baltimore, and now Leonard Tost seems on the verge of betraying the loyal fans in Philadelphia. When I interviewed Commissioner Pete Rozelle on the NFL Today last Saturday, he said that one reason the league did not want to pursue a merger with the USFL was because the NFL wanted the freedom to select its own kind of owners. I neglected to ask Rozelle then, but I'm asking him now if the kind of owners he had in mind were men like Robert Irsay, Leonard Tost, and Al Davis. At the same time, there is no reason why Phoenix or Indianapolis should be deprived of having an NFL franchise. Or, to refer back to the Raiders situation, there is no reason why Los Angeles should not have been given another team after the Rams moved south to Anaheim. But the way to fill those voids was not to lure traditional NFL teams away from well-established cities and markets such as Oakland, Baltimore, and Philadelphia. The answer to the needs in Los Angeles, Indianapolis, and Phoenix lies in expansion. And I believe the pro football product is strong enough and has wide enough appeal to sustain another surge of expansion into those cities, and perhaps others as well. And that is a positive alternative to the relocation of established teams. What about the future? Well, if the musical chairs jumping around from one city to the next continues unchecked, it has the potential of destroying the very fabric and identity of the National Football League, as we have come to know it now over the years.
It's still refreshing to hear a voice that appreciates the real deep meaning of what an NFL team means to its local city. And that's today's Closet Sports Soundbite. I'm William Taylor. Today on the Closet Sports Soundbite, we remember Charlton Heston. In this case, specifically, we remember the time in 1968 he filmed a movie in New Orleans whose original working title was Pro, later changed to Number One when it was released in 1969. It was produced by Walter Selzak and directed by Tom Grease. Heston played a 40-year-old quarterback on the brink of retirement, but struggling to do so. Charlton Heston would later say that it was one of the worst movies that he ever did. Here's some samples of the dialogue to help verify that a little bit. First, here's Heston's character, Ron the Cat Catlin, talking to a member of the press about rumors of his pending retirement.
You want a press release, go to the club. God knows they own you guys for a beer and a sandwich every Sunday.
Now here's Ron the Cat Catlin talking to the actual Saints general manager from '68, Vic Schwenk, about that retirement.
Cat, level with. Do you really want to quit?
If I did, I guess I would.
The next scene, you'll hear Richard Elkins playing second-string quarterback Kelly Williams, complaining to the third-string quarterback Polanski, who, believe it or not, is being played by the actual Saints owner, John Meekum.
5 times, 10 downs, an average of 20 seconds a game.
What are you bitching about? I ain't played that much in 5 years.
I'm good enough now, like he was good enough 10 years ago.
Don't come off of it, rookie.
In the next scene, you will hear actor Ernie Barnes, a former Denver Bronco offensive lineman, in this case in the movie playing the role of Deke Coleman, yelling and screaming at a rookie who tried to take a cheap shot at Ron the Cat Catlin during a practice.
See him, rookie? He's number one around here. You don't even breathe on him.
In the next scene at a nightclub, you'll hear actor Bruce Dern, playing the role of retired receiver Richie Fowler, talking to very much real-life Al Hurt about a promotional idea for Richie Fowler's car dealerships at an upcoming Saints game.
Well, now be nice to me, my friend, because I've got a wonderful idea for you and your boys next Sunday at the halftime show.
Oh, sure. We all go out on the field in your cars.
Oh, not only in my cars, but my convertible cars, and the gimmick is that you and your boys will be topless.
That'll never work, baby. With my build, I'm sure to get arrested.
The world premiere for the movie would occur in New Orleans in 1969 at the Lowe's Theater on Canal Street. The grand opening occurred about a week after the landfall of Hurricane Camille, and all the proceeds from the world premiere went towards Hurricane Camille relief for the American Red Cross. Charlton Heston passed away on April the 5th, 2008 at the age of 84. And that's it for now. I'm William Taylor, and this has been a special edition of the Closet Sports Soundbite.